My first 100 days on the carnivore diet has opened my eyes to some of the baggage that I've carried with me and dumped it in front of me. In this video, I'm going to give you 4 key takeaways that I have learned about myself and this first 100 days on the carnivore diet. Hey, this is Dave. I'm just a guy trying to get healthy enough to hike the Appalachian Trail and share with you what I learned. I have lost a total of 40 pounds since April. 31 of that has been on the carnivore diet in the last 100 days. I don't know what it is, but unlike other diets, this feels a lot easier and more natural for me to be on a carnivore diet. My first takeaway is I'm still fat and calorie phobic. And what I mean by that is it's in my head that I need to lower my fat. I need to keep my calories down. I need to fast. I need to eat perfectly or I'm not going to lose weight. What I do need to realize is that with the carnivore diet, you're supposed to eat until you get full. You're also supposed to eat enough food to sustain you. It's not about calorie restriction so much as it is getting the proper nutrients so that you can stay full longer when you have enough fat in your diet, and the protein will help to restore and regrow your muscles and maintain all sorts of other body functions, none of which I'm going to get into today. I feel like also, I had mentioned it just a second ago, I should be fasting because I believe that fasting does a lot of wonderful things, one of which is autophagy because I've got some extra skin. So I feel like I need to do a lot more of that, but I'm losing weight when I'm not fasting as well as when I am fasting. So the carnivore diet is taking away a lot of that. I'll call it kind of that fasting need. Not that I don't feel that it's beneficial. I just feel like I can continue to lose weight by eating the carnivore diet and also not eating between meals as far as snacking, but eating 2 to 3 meals a day, which will help me get there. My second takeaway is I have gone through many physical changes, which has helped me greatly. Like my hiking is improved. My endurance with hiking is so much better. I'm less winded than I was, and I feel like I have more fuel in the tank at the end of a long hike. We've done upwards to about 10 plus miles where we climbed 3,000 to 4,000 feet of elevation change. And on the way down and along stretches towards the end, these were 6 or 7 hour hikes, I felt good. My legs are less sore also, and my joints are less achy. And what I mean by that is I would get out of the car after going for a hike, 2-hour drive home, and I would hobble into the house back when I was 40 plus pounds heavier, and the joint pain would last 3, 4, 5 days, whereas now the joint pain goes away fairly quickly. Like that day I might have some achy knees or ankles, and my back might be a little bit sore, but it goes away before nighttime. I mean, once I kind of rest up a little bit. So I feel really good about that. Also, my body is changing. My clothes are fitting better. I started at a 40 waist. I'm 5'4.5", and I started at a 40 waist. Now I'm at a 35 waist. The 40 waist was probably really a 42. I just would kind of suck in my gut and clasp the button to keep my pants on. But I find that now I'm at a 35 and it's a little tight, but it's so much better than it was. I am steadily losing weight at this point, not as quickly as I did at the beginning of the carnivore diet, but definitely I have I've maintained like a 1.5 pound weight loss per week. My blood pressure is at 114/78, taken at the doctor's. My resting heart rate is 58 beats a minute, and my blood sugar levels are very stable. I used to have wild fluctuations in blood sugar when I was eating a lot of carbohydrates. And if you've seen any of my videos, the carbohydrates of choice were not salads. It was donuts and cookies and cakes and soda. Well, I drank Diet Coke, which fluctuated my blood sugar because of the fake sugar in it. And with that said, I'm so much more stable than I was. My sleep is improving. I'm still working on that. I believe it might be eating too late in the day that has caused me to kind of have just a big influx of food at night, and then when I fall asleep, I wake up with too much energy, which is too early in the night because it could be 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm not going to get out of bed and run around the neighborhood at that point. But I do feel at this point I need to start adding more core strengthening, also upper body strengthening. I get plenty of work with my legs as far as my strengthening goes, but I feel like at this point physically I need to start to add in some upper body strengthening. My third key takeaway is I have an addictive personality. I started drinking coffee to make sure that I wasn't going to drink Diet Coke, but also to kind of wake up or perk up in the morning because I was waking up too early and then kind of dozing and not getting a good night's sleep. I started drinking coffee, and I feel like that has led to the beginnings of an addiction. I'm not too worried about it because I have 2 coffees, one in the morning, one at lunch, and then I don't drink any more coffee throughout the day. And I drink plenty of fluid as far as water, seltzer water, in between. So I'm not too concerned with it yet. But if that becomes a problem and where I feel like I need to have a third or a fourth cup of coffee, I'm going to have to cut that off. I do drink it black in the morning, and I'll have some cream with it only when after I've eaten, because I don't want to get that cream. Again, that's that mental part where I have just feel like I can't break that fast. So I'm trying not to eat in between meals. So the cream, I try not to have that in the morning. Once or twice a week I might, because I just still don't like the taste of coffee. And I apologize for the coffee people. But aside with that, a friend of mine asked me if I was drinking coffee, and I said, yeah. She looked at me and she goes, you don't drink coffee. I said, well, I started 3 weeks ago, and I told her that I went out and bought Maxwell House. And she looked at me, and I thought, she thought, this is just crazy. That's horrible coffee. Sorry to Maxwell House. I don't know what horrible coffee is at this point, so I'm trying to just get the cheapest stuff that'll give me a little bit of caffeine. Anyhow, I also, part of that addiction is I feel like I binge at football parties. We have a big group of friends. We meet every Sunday. I will eat something good before I leave, but then there's all these little carnivore treats, which it's processed meats, cheeses for the most part, and then they'll have wings. And the wings don't have any sugar, but I feel like I'm just grazing for a couple hours. So I really need to figure out how to not eat so much at those football parties. And then I did add in snacks throughout the day. Not throughout the day, let me back that up. I added snacks like once or twice a day. I might grab some beef jerky, or I might grab some pork rinds. But what I found is I can add those during my meal, so I don't eat in between, and I add them at the end of my meal as I'm getting full. I'll just add a little bit, and that seems to get rid of that craving for the crunch or craving for the salt, because I make very salty beef jerky. The fourth key takeaway is I have started to develop some good habits. Shopping is easier. My route around the store is very, very quick and very efficient, and I know where I can get my bargains. I go all the way around the back. I might pick up some shrimp on the way over to the meat or to the beef and burger section, and I can find the $3.99 a pound. Occasionally I'm getting some $1 or $2.99 a pound. The other thing I did add, which was less expensive, was buying some boneless pork, and I maybe like a sliced pork, and so I fry that up. I make sure that I make it to at least a certain temperature that makes it medium and edible, so I'm not going to get I believe you can get trichinosis from eating raw pork, but that was learned a long time ago back in college, so I believe that's what it is. I'm trying to eat that so that I don't get sick. The other thing is I have been preparing my meals, and that's becoming more and more routine. I batch my grilling for my steaks, my burgers. I'll get 3 or 4 days of that ahead of time. I divide them up and put them in the fridge, and then I can eat as I go. I haven't had anything go bad on me, knock on wood, but I do know that I got close a couple times. And I also am learning that I'm grilling better, I'm air frying better, and I'm using the stovetop better. And you might think, oh, well, you're 57 years old, you should be able to do that fairly easily, but that's not the case. I was the guy that made pancakes for my kids and bacon and eggs, and I didn't really cook other than that. My wife took care of it, and now that I've taken on this carnivore diet and carnivore lifestyle, which she is doing at this point too, she might go a little ketovore because she wants to add in some vegetables and a little bit of fruit. And I'm all for that. She's fine. She doesn't have the weight problems. She doesn't have any health problems. And so she's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. But in regards to cooking, I am doing my own cooking. So it's I'm learning quite a bit. The other thing is this way of eating. It's becoming easier, and it's also becoming part of me. I feel like my habits are becoming my identity. I believe it was James Clear said, the more you do something, the more it becomes your identity. I used to identify as a Diet Coke and cookies guy. Now I'm starting to identify as a carnivore, and that has been very helpful. And that's also what I would like to be. I don't want to go back to eating the cookies and all that, because I just know that health-wise it's horrible for me. And it got me where I was 4 or 5 months ago now. Actually, April 1st was 6 months ago. So that's what happened to me. I don't want it to happen again. I'm going to stick with the carnivore. So if you'd like to check out my beginner carnivore video right over here, then check that out. Hopefully that's helpful for you, and make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who you feel is going to benefit from it. Thanks for watching, and happy hiking.